Hello and welcome to another YouTube video. How are you doing? My name is NDIDI and I am a clinical psychologist at NDIDI. And on our channel, we talk about things that have to do with emotional well-being and mental well-being and living a happy and much more fulfilling life. And if these subjects are interesting to you, don't forget to like, to share our videos with loved ones and friends and strangers that you know can benefit from it, and to subscribe. And also to turn on your post notifications so you can know when we release new videos. For today, I want to talk about a topic that I know that irrespective of where you are in the world, you would definitely be able to connect with this. And it is about burnout. When 2020 ended and we started working and people started going to the office in 2021 and 2022, one of the most common issues that employees were complaining about was burnout. Burnout, even though they were having a hybrid system of working from home and also working from the office, they were so overwhelmed with a lot of work, or they felt like they were not being challenged enough by the jobs that they were doing. So in today's video, I want to just talk a little bit about burnout to help you understand what it is, what some of the symptoms are, and then what you can do to help yourself if you recognize that you are getting burnt out. And to know that burnout can happen to anyone. Even I got burnt out as well. And I do get burnt out sometimes, but I know how to better manage it, which is why I'm here to share with you the information and the knowledge that I have. So the first thing to do is to understand what exactly does burnout mean. Now, according to Psychology Today, burnout is a state of chronic stress that leads to physical, emotional, mental exhaustion, cynicism, detachment, and feelings of ineffectiveness and a lack of fulfillment. So essentially what they're saying is that a person has experienced stress for a long period of time. When something is chronic, it is ongoing. It doesn't just start and end, it just continues to go on. So you've been in a state of chronic stress that it now has a negative effect on your physical health, on your emotional health, and your mental well-being. And some of the consequences of this is you become cynical, you become detached, you start to feel a lot less effective, and you also feel a lot less sense of fulfillment from your work. Now, some of the symptoms that you experience are fatigue. You're really tired. No matter how much you sleep, you're still very tired. You feel overwhelmed. You feel cynical. You feel bored. You start to feel anxious even when you think about going to work. There's a lot of stress on your mind. And some people then develop mental illnesses like depression or an anxiety disorder. Now, what are some of the types of burnout? Because when people say they are burnt out, it's not always the same type. We have three subtypes of burnout. The first one is the frenetic. And the person who is experiencing the frenetic burnout is a person who has invested a lot of time and effort into doing their job, that they're not paying attention to other aspects of their life. They're like go-getters that give everything they have to make sure that they're reaching the top of their work, but then their personal lives, like taking care of themselves, sustaining their relationships, and just even having alone time, is suffering. The second type of burnout is the under-challenged type, which are people who are not properly appreciated for the work that they do or acknowledged for the work that they do, and their work is not challenging enough that it forces them to come out of their comfort zone and try new things. They are stuck in a routine that they go to over and over again, that they lose spirit and they lose the zeal to work. And the third type of burnout is the worn out, which is what most of us are familiar with when we think about burnout. That is the person who no longer has anything to give to their job or to their profession because they have given everything and they're extremely tired and in need of rest and a break. So maybe you identify with one of the three of them. Maybe you know a friend that identifies with it, but it's a good time for us to talk about what are some of the symptoms of burnout so that if you think that you're getting burnt out, you'd be able to know. The physical symptoms that you have are you feel tired and you feel drained most of the time. You have a low immunity, so you tend to fall sick a lot quicker, a lot more often. If you were not the type of person that normally get malaria or a cold or a flu, you just realize that you're getting sick more often than you used to before. The third is that you have change in your appetite and change in your sleeping habits. You're either eating way too much unhealthy stuff, or you're not eating at all, or you're sleeping more than you should be, or you're not sleeping at all. You have things like frequent headaches and frequent body pain, and you go to the hospital and ask like, oh, what's going on? And they'll tell you that they can't find any illness going on. What's wrong with you? It's most likely stress related. Now, some of the emotional symptoms that you have when you're burnt out is a sense of failure, feeling like you're not good enough and that you're not doing the best at your job. You also feel detached, you feel alone, you feel helpless, you feel a loss of motivation and increased cynicism at your work. You feel apathetic. So the work that you used to enjoy that made you feel fulfilled and happy no longer gives you that stress. And when you think about it, you feel a sense of anxiety and depression. The third type of symptom are the behavioral symptoms, which is when you're having these physical symptoms of stress and having the emotional symptoms of stress, what are some ways that you can manifest that other people will be able to identify? And the first is that you start to withdraw from your responsibilities. Your deadlines, you don't meet them. People find it very difficult to reach you. You have no motivation to work. You might even be at the office, but you're not doing anything productive. You're probably just watching YouTube videos or finding a place to sleep because you are so tired. You tend to take out your frustrations on others. Your temper is a lot more, on the head trigger path. So any little thing can cause you to flare up. You're easily irritated. You procrastinate and take a longer time to give in your work submissions that you need to send in. And finally, as a way of coping, you either engage in drugs, alcohol, or food, or engage in reckless sexual activity. So if some of the symptoms are familiar to you and you know that it's related to how you feel about work, then chances are that you're getting burnt out. So what are some things that you can do to help yourself when you find out that you're experiencing burnout? The first and most important thing is to even recognize it. Recognize that you are getting burnt out. And when you're able to recognize that, that's when you can then begin to take proactive steps towards taking care of yourself. The second is like when you recognize, oh my God, I'm getting burnt out, I can recognize the symptoms within me, is to reach out to other people and ask for help. Sometimes even just talking about how you feel, the frustrations you have around work, can be very helpful to relieve some of the symptoms and sense of dissatisfaction that you have. The third is reframing the way you look at your job, trying to see things from a much more positive perspective rather than a negative one that continues to bring you down. And if you know that you've tried to reframe and it's not working, no matter the angle you try to look at it from or ask for help or change the system, it's still not working for you, then you should start taking steps to leave that workplace so you can find something that makes you feel happier and creates within you a better and stronger sense of fulfillment. Another thing you can do to help yourself is to take time off. Usually when clients come to me and from conversations, I can tell that they're burnt out and they're exhausted and they're overwhelmed and they can't handle it anymore and they need a break, we start to take steps towards a break. So if you recognize that you're burnt out, start to look at when you can have your leave. Even if it's a month from now, it's best for you to plan towards it than to have no plan whatsoever for a break. And if you can, don't take a break that's just for a day or 2 days, because that's not really going to give you the amount of rest that you need. Try to look at taking leave of work for about a week or 2 weeks where you have days where you're not doing anything and you can just enjoy the freedom of being human without the fear of responsibilities and deadlines. Another thing that you can do is to set boundaries around work. If you're a person who overworks themselves to the point where you end up being a worn-out type of burnout person or a frenetic type of burnout person, you need to start to set boundaries around work, saying things like, no, I don't have the space for that. Can you refer this to somebody else to handle? No, this is not within my jurisdiction to handle. So they should, so person should handle it. Set better boundaries around work so you're not taking on far much more than you're capable of handling. And then make exercise a priority, and not just exercise, but also a healthy diet. Exercise really does help you reduce your stress hormone called cortisol. You burn it out when you work out. It helps to balance your mood and helps to relieve feelings of anxiety and increase self-confidence. So make exercising a major part of your daily routine in the morning before you leave the house or at night before you go to bed. And finally, get plenty of sleep. Sleep is not for the weak, and neither is it for the dead. It is for people who are alive that want to live healthy lives. So try as much as possible to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day. And this does not mean going to bed at 1 a.m. to wake up at 10, because sometimes you might do that and all you just do, you end up feeling so much more tired when you wake up at 10. Go to bed at a reasonable time, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., so you can have enough rest during that day and into the start of a new day. I do hope you found this information very helpful. And if you did, don't forget to like and to share with your loved ones, a stranger or a friend or a colleague who you know can benefit from this, or your HR person, and to subscribe and turn on your post notifications so that you know when we release a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We would leave all the information in our description box, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.